Welcome, everyone. As we give a minute for everybody to join in, just want to make sure we're good on the live stream. It looks like we're starting to get some people picking up on there. So you should be seeing me and a picture of my guest, an old friend, someone I grew up watching play sports. So I feel very, very honored to have him on to here tonight. New offensive coordinator for Hixson High School, Coach Cooley, Shawn Cooley. Welcome, Coach Cooley.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, man. It's a big deal. I appreciate it.
Coach Cooley, I'm so proud to have you on. And again, we were talking before I came on live. To start with, you grew up not too far from here, over the mountain in Sequoyah County, and we're talking about Friday nights over there. Is that your first taste of high school football? Would be as a player over in Sequoyah County?
Well, yes and no. I remember, it's been probably 20 years ago now, nearly 20 years ago. I got introduced to it. My dad, we would always go when I was in probably elementary school, middle school. He would take me every Friday night, and we'd watch. I remember watching guys like Justin Price play, and just being kind of enamored with the whole atmosphere of how the Sequatchie Valley was and still is as far as football, the commitment and just the whole community coming out. It was just something obviously that I really wanted to be a part of. So that was a big deal to me. That's kind of where I first got introduced to it. Then obviously played, and we had some pretty good years when I was there, and it even just added on to the support there.
Coach, in that time at Sequoyah County, you got to play for somebody I know you and I share a common friendship with, and that was your head coach over there at the time, which would have been Coach Chad Barger. Now at East Ridge, looking down that schedule, you're going to see Coach Barger in Week 10.
Absolutely, that's going to be a bittersweet time because, of course, I've known him, my whole life. Really, I've known him a long time and know how prepared they will be and how good of a coach he is. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for us, but I look forward to doing that.
Coach, before we get into Hixson High School, one more thing, and I know we share a love of something else. You, as a young man, had an aspiring music career before heading into coaching full time. Are you still involved, or you just every now and then pull up the Spotify and show the players?
Well, that kind of happens every now and then. I'm pretty much retired from making music. That's kind of a thing of the past for me. I don't even really have to pull it up, to be honest with you. Usually, whenever people meet new people, first thing they do now is Google, right?
Right.
So they'll Google people, and usually the first one or two things that pops up on me is something about my music. It's my Spotify. It's the fact that I played at Riverbend in 2018. It's something like that. So kids always get into that, and it's funny. They'll just start playing my music randomly, and I didn't even know that they knew that I made music. So it's interesting to say the least. What I do for them, if we get a big win or something like that, I will rap for them in the locker room. Do things like that for them. But as far as making music, I'm done. That ship sailed.
It's a lifetime hobby, though. I mean, it's something that you never lose a love for.
Absolutely.
So it's a great outlet. I'll put it that way. All right, Coach, you're here to talk about Hixson, and we're going to come back to music and food and everything else Coach Cooley loves here in a little bit. But let's talk about Hixson. What attracted you to that position? And you were at, I believe, Cumberland County, and
yes,
very happy over there. But something about Hixson attracted you. What was it?
Well, it's a number of things, to be honest with you. Me and my wife, we talked about it a lot, and I was happy at Cumberland County, like you just said, and I love the people there, love the coaching staff there, great people, great community, great kids. The thing, number one, was getting closer to home, because I still live in Sequatchie County, so driving to Cumberland County was about nearly an hour from my house. So that's one thing. And I just grew up in Hixson all the time. If we wanted to go do something, when I was a kid, we'd always go to Hixson to do it. And I just love the Chattanooga area football scene. I feel like it's just home for me. So And not to mention there are a lot of great athletes in the Hamilton County area and the Sequatchie Valley as well. But there's a lot of great athletes, and just an opportunity to be in Hamilton County and coach those guys and coach with somebody like Coach Rivers, who when I first met him kind of sold me on coming, and the admin, the principal, athletic director, they all kind of sold me on the school environment. So that's all that played into it.
Coach Cooley, the reputation, and Coach Rivers and I talked about this. Coach Fitzgerald, though, had some success at Hixson. Coach O was last year 5-5. Had struggled prior, would be to say lightly. But Hixson football at times has been up and down, kind of all over the map. Is that something that you would like to leave a legacy behind, you and Coach Rivers, just putting that program on the right foot, headed towards what it needs to be?
Sure, well, absolutely. I mean, first thing is our whole goal is, just to be competitive in every game that we're in. And I think that's something it's a goal we can accomplish really quick, and take the wins and losses out of it. We want to develop these kids into young men.
Absolutely.
And that's the main thing, is our impact on those kids. It don't matter really if they win 10 games in a year if they're not being good husbands, good fathers, good members of society. If they're not being that, then those 10 wins were just a season, and it's not really preparing those kids for what's to come in life. So our whole just our goal is to impact these kids, make them better men, be consistent with them, tell them the truth. And I think that will lead to being competitive in every game, and getting some wins along the way.
Coach Rivers' reputation and yours is, you love kids, but you always speak the truth, and I think that's huge. On a personal comment, is I think we sugarcoat it too much to our kids. It's tough conversation sometimes to have with a young man when he's not succeeding at the level he should be.
Absolutely. And the whole thing is, we could always get better. No matter how good you are, no matter how bad you are, there's always room to improve. And just knowing that, and striving to be the best version of yourself every day. That's kind of what we're trying to implement in these kids, is just be the best version of you. That's all we need. We don't need you to be Peyton Manning. We don't need you to be Reggie Bush, somebody like that. We need you to be the best version of who you are. And that's going to make us better as a team.
Coach, not to jump off of Hixson, we're going to spend most of our time on Hixson, but you personally, you're at Sequatchie, moved to Cumberland, now to Hixson, and you, the ultimate goal for you is to keep getting in these programs and build towards something for yourself as a coach and goal. What would that be down the line for you?
So, yeah, like I was saying a second ago, a goal for me, just a couple things that I mentioned. The goal every day for me is to be the best version of myself. Like I was saying, we want to preach to those kids to be the best version of themselves. I'm trying to do that myself. Like I'm kind of coaching myself as I'm coaching the players on these things. I want to be that. I want to make the best impact on each kid that I can. I want to be the best version of me for them. And ultimately, obviously, I want to be a head coach one day. So I'm good with the OC gig right now. I love everything about being an offensive coordinator, calling plays. I love all that. But the ultimate goal for me, and it doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but the ultimate goal for me is to be a head coach. And that's one thing that I love about Coach Rivers, is that he's given me full reign of the offense, and I've had it before, but he told me straight up, "You're the head coach of the offense." So that's helping me, prepare for that whenever that eventually comes.
Coach, you just recently, I think a few months ago, was named one of the top 30 assistants under 30. You're not quite to that 30 mark, but that's a heck of an honor at your young age, and to be in an OC position. Most of the time, that doesn't happen in your 20s. So that career path seems to be going definitely in the direction you want it.
Right. Well, it's all God's plan for me. I'm a guy of faith, so just putting my trust in Him, and just having that mention of top 30 and 30. I don't know if you know this, but that was actually in the state of Georgia, because I spent in between Sequatchie and Cumberland. I spent 1 year at Lafayette High School in Walker County, Georgia. I spent 1 season there. Had a kind of a freak thing, kind of an emergency deal. Had to come back home, and then that's where I ended up at Cumberland. But I received that award in the state of Georgia. So
nice.
I was 27, I think, at the time. I was the offensive coordinator there. Coach Andy Scott gave me my first opportunity to be an offensive coordinator straight up, and I love and respect that man with all my heart. But he turned in my name, and several of our other coaches nominated me for that. And the Georgia Football Scoop is who ended up naming 30 guys, and they picked me to be on there, and very grateful and blessed for that opportunity.
That is a wonderful blessing, Coach, and a great example of hard work. I have one question now, and I don't mean to make you uncomfortable with this question, but you and I kind of cut our teeth on Valley football. That physicality that exists in Valley football, is that something that you try to coordinate into your offense?
Absolutely. Our whole deal for us is I want to set these kids up offensively, and it works on both sides of the ball, but to play as fast as they can, as physical as they can. So that means for me, kind of simplifying terms, things to make them play fast, play fast, play physical. And our whole identity is, we want to run the football, and nothing's more physical offensively than running the football, right?
Right, absolutely.
So that's where we base our things off of now. Now we're going to be balanced, okay, and we'll do other things. And we'll be, I know we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we'll be more spread based. But at the end of the day, we want to be as physical as we can, because there is nothing worse than being on defense or offense, vice versa, and the other team's just hammering you, smashing you right in the mouth, and you can't stop it. There's nothing worse. So that's what we want to eventually get to, and I think we can with this bunch. I really think we can.
Coach, I put in a little text between us. We were going to talk about your offense, and I wrote underneath it, I think I know well enough to know it's going to be power running. So that was pretty obvious. But, you played in that you played in an offense that necessarily wasn't spread out.
No, we were the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, and we were wing T based. Okay, so I was under center all the time, and we did some power eye stuff. And I tell everybody, I said I was probably the state leader, the best in the state that year at handing the ball. I was the best, and that wasn't because I couldn't throw it. It's because we had 3 tailbacks that went for over 1,000 yards apiece that year.
Yeah, I know.
So we could run the football, and we did throw it some. We threw it, and it was usually a touchdown because we'd have 10 guys in the box. So I'd throw a post route, and he'd be wide open. I just try not to overthrow him, so I might underthrow him, let him catch it, run it. But we were smash mouth football. We really just ran 3 plays the whole year. And, why overdo it whenever it's working, right? So that's kind of what we did. And that's one thing that made me a believer in running the football, is that we did it at such a high level. And necessarily the teams knew what we were running. I remember lining up under center against certain teams, and they're like, watch power. And I tell them where it's coming. I would literally tell them, and we'd score from 40 yards. I mean, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if they knew. We were just more physical than that team, and it's just a product of being physical and doing your job and playing fast and physical, and that's something I'm definitely going to implement.
Coach, I had Coach Benefield from down at Fife, Alabama, who's won about 8-9 state championship, had an all-state tight end. And I told him he didn't use his tight end enough. And he pointed out to me, he said he threw to him 25 times and he scored 21 touchdowns. And he didn't know what the goal was, but seemed like, 21 out of 25 was what you wanted to do.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach Benefield's a great coach. Let's talk about Hixson just for a second. And Coach Rivers, we've had on there, and we've talked about this story with a couple of players and with Coach Rivers, that the young men kind of, the junior class kind of wanted Coach Rivers there and was very vocal about it. You have Coach Rivers there, who's a leader of young men, and you bring something different maybe to the table than Coach Rivers. I know friend of our family's Isaac Smith, your punter and place kicker, said Coach Swag one day. That's the greatest nickname I've ever heard either. I think you need to have that printed up. But tell me what Coach Swag is, being under 30 and being able to communicate to the young man.
Well, I don't know if I 100% know what it is, but it was funny because I think it was Thursday. We were getting after him pretty good on some conditioning stuff, and he looked at me and Isaac said, "Coach, why you always got this drip going?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You look good." He said, "You look good all the time." I said, "I don't know. That's just God given, I guess." I was just cutting up with him, but I don't know. I dress a certain way. I always got bright colors on. I don't know. It's just personal preference. I kind of look like a human highlighter walking around, just to be honest with you. But, I dress a certain way. I got a short sleeve and cut off hoodie things. I don't know. I dress a different way, but they call me that. They call me Coach Juice because my whole deal was like, we got to bring the juice today. I say it all the time. We got to bring, just trying to get energy up. So
that's awesome.
Trying to bring the juice. So they call me Coach Juice, and they call me Coach Shady, like Slim Shady.
Yeah.
So I got a few different nicknames. So I don't know what the swag is. I'm guessing it's just kind of how I dress and stuff, and I don't know how I present myself. But they got a bunch of nicknames for me.
But Coach, it does. You're a little over a decade older. Maybe it gives. Well, maybe, but it gives the kids an opportunity to relate with you on a personal level a little more. Do you ever you don't see it with every coach because most coaches aren't 30 years old, so maybe it's a compliment too.
Well, I'll tell you, just me making music like that, just being a rapper. I thought. Just to be honest, I've never told anybody this really, but I thought, about 5-6 years ago when I kind of started trying to get serious about this coaching stuff, I thought that music stuff would hurt me, just because I don't really know why. I just thought, I need to delete all this music and stuff offline, and ended up really not deleting all of it, and it actually has made me connect with the kids a lot more.
That's awesome.
As far as, and it's really helped me out, and they relate to me a little bit because I'm kind of in the culture. I don't listen to the exact same stuff that they listen to, but it's in the same area, and it's they show respect whenever somebody can like rap and they like it sounds decent. Like sometimes I think it's just going to be garbage, but like it sounds okay, so they're like, wow, like it's kind of cool, and it kind of just builds a connection with them, and it really. Outside of football more than in football because you can relate to them on a different level and kind of get more out of them, and they'll come to you more and talk about personal life stuff. Once you have that connection, the possibilities are kind of endless with those kids.
Coach, I mean, I might know a man that's in his 50s that's got Rookie of the Year on his Spotify. I won't call no names, but I'm just gonna say it. So Coach, a little bit about we'll come back to that here in a little bit. But let's talk about, you're a fan of Hixson High School and you've never seen a Shawn Cooley offense on the field.
Right.
What are they going to see?
Well, I think number one, we're not going to huddle. So, I mean, I think they're used to, huddling. So, number one, we're no huddle. We'll be a tempo team. It may be slow tempo, it may be fast. We change it up so we don't want the defense to really be comfortable out there, right? So it'll be alternating tempo, and really kind of going back to an answer I said earlier. We're going to play fast, and that doesn't mean we're going to be fast tempo. It means our kids on every snap they're going to play as hard as they can. Okay, they're going to play hard. They're going to play physical. Even if they do the wrong thing, they're going to be going 100 miles an hour. And that's something that I preach is you can make good things happen if you make a mistake, but you're going 100 miles an hour, something good could come out of that. So we'll be that way. As far as offensively, we're going to run few schematic like run plays. We're not going to run every run play in the book. We're going to run probably at the most 4 or 5 runs. Okay. And we're gonna dress it up different. We're gonna have different formations and change the picture, but still run the same stuff. And in the pass game, we're gonna take deep shots, probably more than they have, maybe ever. I believe in throwing the ball deep because you got to keep them honest, keep them out of the box. We're gonna throw it deep. We're gonna get our best athletes the ball the best way and the easiest way possible. I'm just kind of being generic with you there because I don't really want people to be listening and know everything we're going to do.
Absolutely.
But we're going to get our best kids the ball. We're going to get matchups, our best on their worst. So, I mean, it's going to be a spread look. We'll change formations. We're going to try to keep the same personnel packages on the field. We're going to rotate players, but same personnel packages. And show different looks formationally and run kind of the same plays. And we're an RPO team, so we're gonna pound the football. We're gonna run it, but we're gonna have passes off the run, so everything's gonna look the same. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but the biggest thing is we're gonna no huddle. We're gonna be really really fast in how we play and play physical, and we're gonna take deep shots and run the football.
Coach, not only do you get your rap music, but you also get the term RPO if someone Googles you. You've kind of hung your hat on being a successful RPO team in the past.
Sure, yeah, and it's a big thing for me is, I mean, it's just an answer. It's just a tool in your toolbox. So pretty much there's somebody in conflict on the defense in every play, and it's usually a linebacker, okay, an outside linebacker. And a conflict player to me is a guy who plays run and pass both. Okay, so outside linebackers have run and pass responsibilities. So if they're playing heavy run, we got to read that guy, pull it, and we got to have a route running behind him somewhere. And it's got to be quick so we don't get linemen upfield because we run gap scheme quite a bit. So we want to get players upfield. So we just, that's an answer to me. It's kind of like an old school veer, where you have a read man, you have a pitch man, and you're reading an outside backer to pitch. It's the same principle, except it's modern day football. It's the same exact idea. Maybe you're running a different blocking scheme and you're throwing it instead of pitching it. So it's kind of the same deal. I didn't just invent it, obviously, and nobody really invented it, but it's just a different way to run triple option.
And Coach, and we'll get in some individuals here in a second. You do have some good talent coming back, but one of the major factors kind of over the last 5 years that's in spreading out a lot at high school level for me was going away from the we talked about the wing T, and that was all the rage a few years ago, and your lineman was foot to foot. Are you going to have some splits in your linemen and get the linemen spread out a little bit?
Yeah, we want to spread them out, and I use the term smart splits. Okay, so we want to be smart with what play we're running. If we want to run an inside play, we might want to spread out a little bit more. We don't want to make it obvious. We're running an outside run. We want to kind of condense them a little bit just to set the edge. So we start off with about 1.5 foot split in between each lineman. We can go to 2 foot. We can go down to 1 if we want to. And in short yardage situations, we might go foot to foot. So we'll change up kind of how our splits. But we'll start off with 1.5 foot, and I think most teams that are in the gun go about 2 foot or 1.5 foot. So we'll kind of be along the area of everybody else.
And Coach, that wing T you ran in 2010, you could about line up in a phone booth.
Yes, that was our whole deal is we just want to fist fight in the phone booth.
Yeah.
And the thing that helped us was we could run jet sweep and we could outrun everybody on our schedule. I mean, we had some fast kids and we get them in like I was talking earlier. We'd be foot to foot, and all of a sudden we run jet sweep, and we're to the edge in a hurry, and nobody's out there.
So all right, Coach.
That was a game changer for us.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You're good.
Sometimes when you do these over the phone, you can't see the person, so you try to time your question right. Coach, when you got there, or even Coach Rivers in his interview with me, talked about your running backs, and you do have some running backs with some experience and talent coming back with you in 23.
Absolutely.
Can you go through a little bit about your backfield for next year?
Yeah, so the guy that most people may know from Hixson, Coco Kendricks, he's coming back. Um, I'll just be straight up real with you. I think he's probably one of the best players in the Chattanooga area, if not the best player that nobody knows about. A few people know he's got the potential to be probably the best kid that I've ever coached as far as talent. He's extremely, extremely quick with his feet. He's got incredible vision. He catches the ball well. He has what most kids don't have. He has a very good football IQ. He understands what we're trying to do as far as the blocking scheme up front. He knows kind of where to hit the hole and where his cutback lanes are, and he can kind of see it before it develops, which is kind of advanced. He's really good on defense as well. But Coco, he'll be our leading tailback, and we'll put him out in the slot, and we'll do a lot of different things to get him the ball. But we got him. We got Lawan Hewley, who is kind of sophomore. He's a smaller kid, like a scat back. He's fast. I mean, I clocked him at a 4.5.
Wow.
Just last week. It was hand time, but that was not the first 4.5 that he's run, and different people timing him, so it's legit. He's not very big, but he plays extremely hard, and he's very, very physical. I told him in our spring game, he got a couple carries. Of course, he's going to start in the slot for us more than likely, but he'll alternate with Coco to run the football. But I told him, I knew you were physical, but I didn't know you were that physical, because he's straight up running people over, and he only weighs about 150 pounds, maybe soaking wet. He's very, very talented, gotten a lot better. So I've been told, at catching the football. I think he played some 7-on-7 in the off season, so that really helped his ball skills. Don't think he's been playing football very long. I think Dave told me this is his third year playing ever. So he's got a ton of potential. He's going to be a really, really good football player. And another kid at tailback, he's a upcoming freshman, and that's Armani McClendon.
Nice.
I clocked him at a 4.59, and he's literally, he hadn't taken a freshman class yet. So I clocked him at a 4.59, and he, I think he got clocked in 100 meter in track, middle school track, at around 11 seconds flat.
And that's hauling it.
As an 8th grader, and that's getting somewhere fast, and that's moving.
Is the quarterback position, is it a battle of a couple of people, or are you pretty set there?
Right now, we got a couple guys working there. Right now, Luke Finch will be, if we play today, he's our starter. And Jake Pollock's taking our backup reps, and they're both upcoming sophomores. Luke has a little more experience. He actually started for him last year some. He has incredible talent. He's a natural thrower. He's tall. He's really smart. Just for him learning the nuances of the offense, where his reads are, he's gotten incredibly better as from the first day of spring to like today. So he's done a really good job. And Jake's coming along as well too. He's a hard worker. He's a lefty. He's a little shorter, but he works extremely hard. Both of them are really, really good kids. Luke's got potential to be very, very, very good football player. He can sling it deep. He can take the deep shots we want to take. He's learning the RPO game. He's coming along. He understands it. Understands what we're trying to do. Just some technique stuff with him, and really just understanding more of the offense than what he's supposed to do. That's our next steps with both of those guys.
That's awesome. That is, it's an advantage to have two young quarterbacks in your program like that. Two kids that you both trust, That's
absolutely.
Now, outside, you talked about moving your running backs. You have some people outside, some wide receivers that will start there to start the year.
Absolutely. So one guy that we got coming back who started last year, Ron Suttles, just a big physical receiver, and he can run too. I think we had him I think he ran at a camp, which was a laser time. I think he hit 4.6, so he can run too. Yeah, he can run. He's probably 6'1.5", 6'2", and he's he's a heavy 190, 195. He looks big in pads, and he's a physical kid. He could be a burner. He kind of reminds me of, if you're a Tennessee fan, kind of reminds me of the Cedric Tillman type kid.
Absolutely.
Big physical kid, going to catch it. The thing with him is we got to get more consistent with catching the ball outside, and that's him and our other guys too. But we're dropping too many balls right now. But they can make it's funny because I'm like, y'all make the hardest plays look easy, and the easy plays we drop. So it's just about being more consistent with practice. And another kid who's a soccer kid, Tarek Reese.
Yeah.
So it's his second year ever playing football, and he can flat out run. I'm telling you, I don't know. I can't remember what his 40 time was, but he had a couple bad starts. Like, he was slipping and falling. I think he still was at a 4.7, 4.65, something like that. But he looks fast. I mean, he looks fast, really fast. So he'll be our guy that plays our X receiver out wide to the left. Ron will be to the right. He's got really good ball skills. He never gets tired because he's a soccer player. So, I mean, you can leave him out there forever, and he just keep running. So that's good. We got other kids. We got Isaac's actually going to play some receiver for us. He runs better than I thought he did. He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's
not just a punter or kicker. He's got really good ball skills too. Runs really good routes. So he's helping with some depth there. We got a lot of other kids that could play out, our receiver positions. And I was talking about Luke Finch, our quarterback. His brother Grant, he could be a slot guy for us. He's going to start corner for us probably, but he can be a slot kid for us. Tremel Davis, he's going to play. We got a bunch of kids that can get it down. I'm probably eight deep at receiver right now that I feel good about throwing kids in and taking reps and doing the right things. So, I mean, we got plenty of kids that can play it.
Well, I'm just going to let you know that you have a punter kicker that would rather talk about playing wide receiver than they would punting and kicking, but that's okay. You talked about those soccer kids, and then we'll move on. But in Isaac, of course, we're talking about Isaac Smith, former RiverCity-Media guest here just a week or so ago. Isaac's a phenomenal soccer, going to the player development camp over in South Carolina here in a couple of weeks. But those soccer kids they can just go as long as they want to go. It's a great advantage.
Absolutely. And not only that is I love when athletes cross train and play other sports, because number one, they're in a competitive environment, and competition translates. It don't matter. I mean, skills sometimes translate, sometimes they don't. Competition translates. So if you take a kid playing basketball and he's at the foul line and he's got to make two to win the game, there's 0 time left on the clock. That's a pressure situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So same thing on 4th and short. It's a pressure situation. You get used to playing a sport in a pressure situation. So that does nothing but help every sport. So if you're cross-trained, if you're a soccer kid playing football, those pressure situations translate to the other sport. It makes you a better athlete and better competitor.
Well, I do a show on Wednesday night with Coach Van from down in Sylvania High School, and we've talked about many times, and you're at a 3A level, 2A level, 1A level, even 4A level. You almost have to share kids for programs to be successful.
Absolutely. I think your best athletes in the school, really, no matter what classification. You'll have to share. I mean, that if you talk to college recruiters, they want kids that are playing multiple sports,
mm-hmm.
because of the very thing that I just said. Not only does it make them a better athlete, it makes them a better competitor, right? The pressure situations, that's what they look for. So your best athletes, they better be playing multiple sports. If they want a legit shot to play college, I mean, I'm not saying that they have to play 2 or 3, but that's what they want. I mean, it makes you a better competitor, better athlete all around. So,
and as I said, I remember a second baseman with a little pop over at Swash County. So you did it yourself.
Yeah. I played everything up until I got to high school. Stopped playing basketball my freshman year. mainly because it was my least favorite of the three, and my dad hated it. My dad hated basketball, so he's like, "You got to pick two."
I'm with you. I'd have picked the same too.
He's like he did, and it wasn't my favorite. I really just played it just to compete and just to have something in between seasons. That's why I played basketball. It wasn't my favorite. I was okay. I was point guard. I could shoot a little bit, not very good. But
keeps you in shape too.
Go ahead.
Keeps you in shape. You're in remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. That's it's definitely needed. I played baseball. That was actually my first love. Was baseball. I started playing when I was 4, and it was a much better. Just to be real, I was a much better baseball player than I was football player. Football player, I was just small. I weighed 142 pounds when I graduated high school. I couldn't gain weight, and I was a very skilled baseball player. I trained for it my whole life, so I had that skill set, and I played really hard on defense. And I didn't make very many errors, and I hit it pretty good. So I had a little bit of pop, but I was more of a base hit guy. I wasn't sending it over much. I hit a few over, but I wasn't doing that. I was trying to hit the gaps.
Coach Cooley, we can't believe Coach Rivers talked longer about your offensive line than I think he did any position group.
Yep.
Tell me about up front. Tell me about what you got coming back and why it's an exciting time at Hixson with that group.
Well, I mean, just to be real with you, we're bringing back 4 starters. I mean, they had one kid that played some last year that left, that graduated, right? So we're bringing back 4, and really, really excited for all these kids that are coming back. At center, we got experienced center in Diesel Deason.
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart kid. He understands what's going on. He's kind of the leader of that bunch. He does a really good job. Plays with good pad level. He got a little pop to him. He's a little smaller, but he plays at center. And in my offense, you don't have to be a huge guy because our guards are going to be big. We got Jay Moss, who's going to be an upcoming sophomore, who started some as a freshman. And I think this kid has some incredible potential. I'm not sure how tall he is, but he's close to 300 pounds right now, and he moves a lot better than you think he would. And he's smart, and he plays extremely hard, and he wants to be the best. He told me maybe the first week that I met him, he said, "Coach," he said, "by my senior year, I'm going to be the best offensive lineman in the Chattanooga area."
That's awesome.
So you daggone right you are. So, I mean, he's extremely driven, plays hard. The thing about him is he loves to block people. You don't get a whole lot of people. It takes a different kind of mentality to just want to block somebody the whole game. He wants to do it. Like that's work that he loves to do. So he's a young kid, but going to be really good for us. Chase Packer is going to be a really, really good player for us at right guard. He's going to be an upcoming senior. Plays with a really, really good motor. Moves really well. Really well. Like he's close to a 5'-flat 4.9 40 as an offensive lineman. He's fast. He can run. He's really strong, just naturally. Richard Burney's going to be good for us at tackle. He's played a lot of football for Hixson. He's going to be our left tackle. Our right tackle position's kind of open. We have a kid that started on the offensive line last year, but we kind of want to put him on defense and kind of let him go wreak havoc because that's what he's really, really good at. And we got a couple other kids that could step up and play that right tackle position. So if we're trying to work him out and put him on defense, and that's Tyus Henry. So we're trying to get him on defense if we can, and he can spell us on offense if we need to. But we're trying to work one of these young kids in to play right tackle for us, and I think they're coming along pretty well. I mean, I was talking to Coach Montgomery, our offensive line coach. I was talking to him about it, and he said we've got 8 to 10 right now that he feels pretty good.
That's awesome.
Good about. So just trying to get them a little better and just see who our best 5 are, and we'll go from there.
Coach, we got one more to talk about, and he's close to my heart. And I don't know if the defense as a punter gets him or the offense as a place getter gets you, but Isaac's a great kid. He grew up around me, but Isaac is a power that no one understands as far as being able to go over 40, being underneath. And this is a kid that just come to football, but that's got to affect even your team mentality. Scoring zone gets stretched out for you.
Absolutely. And I don't know if there's a harder worker on our team than Isaac, just to be honest with you. He works extremely hard. He puts in the work as far as, doing his kicking stuff. And then if he's done with that, he's going to come run some routes. He's going to catch some balls. He's going to put in the work, and he's going to be great because he wants to be great, and that's what he works for.
Yeah.
So he's a great kid. I mean, all these kids that I mentioned, that we've got a bunch of great kids. There's no attitude problems out of these kids. We got a bunch of kids that really, really want to be good, and they deserve that. And their work is going to make. They're putting money in the bank, as Coach Rivers says. So we're putting money in the bank every time we practice and play hard here, and we work. We're putting money in the bank. We're getting ready to go spend it. So, Isaac's absolutely, he's going to have a big year for us. I told him the first day that I met him, I said, you better get used to not punting the ball.
That's awesome.
We ain't going to punt. Obviously, we will punt, but I was giving him a hard time.
But it does change where the punt zone comes in for you, Coach, because, I mean, Isaac talks about, and I don't know, I asked him when he was, where you can go from, and he feels pretty confident over 50. That's like a Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, SEC level kick there,
That's big time. We when I was in Lafayette for that one season, we had a kid that had a big leg. He hit, I think he hit a 52-yarder.
That's awesome.
And I don't, Coach Scott, he just ran him out. He's like, I don't know if he's even got a range to hit this thing, and he hit it. And I was like, well, he does.
Yeah.
He kick it in the back of the end zone every time we kick off too. So that's something we need Isaac to do, is kick that thing as far as you can. Don't let him return it.
And that's what I think that's a major goal Coach Rivers mentioned for him this year, is getting that distance.
That'll help us a lot.
All right, Coach. I'm gonna skip. We've talked a lot about your influences already and playing and coaching, so I want to move on just a little bit. There's no film with you at Hixson. There's film where you was a position coach at Sequoyah and a offensive coordinator at Cumberland County. I talked to Coach Van, who's the head coach and OC at Sylvania, and we talk about changing that playbook over the summer.
Yep.
That's really not necessary for you this year, but is it something you're going to do?
Yes and no. There's certain things. We had different kids at Cumberland, different types of kids.
Mm-hmm.
We'd run, some similar plays. We're going to do some different stuff in the run game, but kind of keep it the same. My whole philosophy is I like 3 inside run concepts, and 1 outside run concept, and dress it up different. So we're still going to keep that same formula. We're just going to change up one of the inside runs to something that I didn't do at Cumberland that I think we can do well here. And as far as like in the pass game, I think we can do more quick screens, getting athletes the ball, more bubbles, things like that here than I could at Cumberland County, because we weren't very fleet of foot. Cumberland County, we were bigger, more smash mouth, bigger offensive line, just grind you out kind of thing. And here at Hixson, it's a little different. We've got offensive line that can do that, but we've got kids on the outside that can be a game changer. Because we just got kids that can run. You can't coach speed, so we're going to put them in a position to where they can get going and play as fast as they can, and the defense has to honor it. They've got to guard somebody. I don't think we'll get very many double teams on a certain individual,
right,
because we got 3 or 4 that can go do the same thing. So that's really going to help us spread it out, and it's actually going to help us run the ball a lot better too. Because what I faced at Cumberland last year was a lot of loaded boxes, and we couldn't take advantage through the air, not because we couldn't complete the ball, but we couldn't get open versus man coverage. And that's what everybody played against us, because we weren't very fast. So that's going to be completely different for us, I think, here at Hixson.
Coach, and I do want to just real fast open it up to you. We've talked about several influences, but is there someone that, or as a player, that someone that stayed, that you kind of go, oh, that coach influenced who I am as a coach, and that coach and this guy influenced me? Who are some of the people that did influence you?
Right. So as a player, obviously Coach Barger, right? He's our head coach, and I've known him a long time, and he's still an influence on me. couple other ones that coached me. Nick Mullins is one of them. He's actually strength and conditioning coach at Ray County right now.
Yep.
He was kind of like, I guess you could say I am. He was younger at the time. He showed interest other than football. We actually shared a love for Bo Jackson. It's kind of crazy. Because I still think Bo Jackson's the greatest athlete to ever walk the earth.
Absolutely.
And he's the same way. And he bought me some Bo Jackson shoes, literally the branded Bo Jackson shoes for my graduation gift.
That's awesome.
And he's been a big impact on my life. Another guy, Tim White, who's actually still coaching in Sequoyah County right now. He's the offensive line coach for Coach McIntyre. He still has a big impact on me. We talk, weekly, usually, and he's been a really good mentor to me. Some other guys that I coach with right now. Coach Montgomery's our offensive line coach at Hixson. I've coached with him before at Sequoyah, and he really kind of took me under his wing when I was a young coach and taught me blocking. Of course, you only know what you know when you first start coaching, right? So
right.
I knew skill position. I kind of knew. He took me under his wing and kind of explained blocking schemes to me in a way I could understand, and I did more research on it. And he's been a big influence on me in that way. Coach Scott, like I told you at Lafayette, he gave me my first big opportunity to be an actual coordinator. He just turned me loose with it, and it was kind of trial by fire, and that's how I learned the best. Got a lot of love for that man. Some guys that I've coached against, and there's a lot of these guys, but Bledsoe County head coach, Coach Tabor, Dwayne Tabor.
Yes.
The phenomenal man, does things the right way. He didn't have to do this, but when I got that Lafayette job, he literally called me and told me congratulations. It was that was a big deal to me, and I've kind of not let him alone since. I talked ball with him. I asked him certain things. He's very, very receptive and tries to help, and he even asked me questions about stuff. Really, really good dude. Coach Austin Chris at Ringgold. He's the new Ringgold head coach. He's OC there the past several years. We faced off when I was at Lafayette, and it was a really, really good game. They ended up getting the better of us, but really, really good game. I admire the way he calls a game. He does a really, really good job there. He's been a big influence on me and helped me out with a lot of different things as far as scheme-wise or program-wise or just a talk. Another guy, and I'll shut up after this. One of my buddies, Ricky Gilly, he's more of a defensive mind. I think he was the DC at Sequoyah a couple years ago. I think whenever Coach McIntyre first got there, he was on that staff, and then he moved on to South Pittsburgh. He's still at South Pittsburgh right now, but he's one that I'll call and ask certain things about defensive fronts or defensive secondary play, how he's teaching this, because the more you know about the other side, the better you can be on offense, vice versa. So he's a lot more coaches that I could mention right there, but those are just a few that are influences and really good friends of mine.
Coach Gilly and I somehow crossed paths more ways than I even can, besides football. I do another show with a fellow named Dennis Swaney, and we were talking that one day, and he grew up with Coach Gilly, and I was like, Coach Gilly just keeps walking into my life no matter what. So he's a good guy. All right, Coach, let's take you away from football, and we're running a little long. Everybody stay with us. We'll wrap it up in about 5 minutes. I always fail to and never say it, but please like and smash the follow button. And if you enjoy this content, we need more high school football coverage in the area, more methods to get it out. Kids work hard, so support your local high school and support us here. But, Coach, let's take you outside of football for a minute. Now, I'm going to have some insider information on this one, but tell us about your family.
Well, I got a beautiful wife. She's way out of my league, Kylie Cooley. We've been together for a long time, kind of on and off whenever we were kids. I mean, we're still young, but whenever we were, in our teens and early 20s, we were on and off. We got married in 2018. Been married since then. obviously she hadn't left me yet, so that's good. So
that's good. That's real good.
Being a coach's life, I mean, it's hard for her. I'll just be honest with
Yeah.
you. I spent a lot of time doing football stuff, and she completely understands. She's great support. She supported me through music, through everything. So she's been phenomenal. She's my rock. We just had our first child, and his name's Knox. He was born in January of 2022, so he's a little over a year old. He is into everything. He's walking around, running around. I think he's already getting into his terrible twos. He's starting to throw some fits. So I mean, he's definitely giving us a run for our money. But there's nothing like, and you know this, you've got kids. There's nothing like becoming a father. Like you can't explain kind of how that feels. I try to tell people all the time, like you just can't explain how it feels. Like I didn't know the emotions that I had, those kind of emotions whenever I first saw his face. Like it was crazy. But that's my family. I love them. They support me and they're everything to me.
You know, I told Coach Rivers that y'all got me by default. I got an 8th grader at Hixson right now. And Coach Cooley, if I can listen to clarinet music as we practice for Friday Night Lights, then anybody can make it. So and it's a blessing to you too. I never thought I would enjoy just listening to her play the clarinet and learning something. It gives my heart excitement and joy.
Right, exactly.
We talked already about your music taste and what you did with music, but outside of music and football, what else do you like to do, Coach?
Well, I'll just be honest with you. You can ask my wife. In my free time, I literally study football, and that's just sounds like such a coach answer, but I do that. But if we're not talking about that, I like to work out. I like to, try to stay in shape the best I can. I was a carpenter by trade. I literally worked construction for 8 years before becoming a football coach and teacher. So I build things. I don't go out and dig ditches or nothing like that anymore. I don't want to be broke down, but I refinish furniture kind of as a side gig. I like to do things like that. I like to build things, work with my hands, kind of that kind of stuff. But outside of that, it's studying football and spending time with my family.
And you teach, and some coaches don't teach full time, but you are a full time teacher, as I understand too.
Yeah, so I taught several different things. My certification's in earth science. So I don't know how many science teacher and football coaches you know, but I don't know very many. But I taught physical science in Sequoyah County. Is kind of what I started teaching. I taught geology. I taught environmental science. Taught scientific research. I taught a couple more different ones that I can't think of off the top of my head. But I'll be teaching environmental science at Hixson. But I've taught physical science the most.
That's not a normal combo, Coach.
No, I know. Somebody told me that I was a unicorn because of that. I guess. I don't know.
Coach, let's just move on real fast. And Coach Rivers brought it up, and I want to mention it again. Attending football games for this Hixson community and the young men that are playing football, it's so critical. Get out, go on Friday night. It changes the whole mode of that stadium when you got a full crowd there.
Absolutely, and that's something that we're trying to build to, and hopefully we get there. Really, really, really quick. I think we'll have a good preseason. I think we'll get people out on our first home game.
And anything you can do to help that program. I'm a member of the community. When they fire up band on Friday night, if I'm not somewhere covering a game, I can literally hear the music. And as a member of the community, I feel like too, it's over in Dunlap or over in South Pittsburgh or in Pikeville, they rally around the local football team. Sometime in the bigger city like Chattanooga, where we might have 10 teams around, that community pride's not the same. But us and Hixson's a little more isolated. We should have the same kind of environment at Hixson High School as we do over in the Valley.
Right, and I'm a firm believer in we'll earn that. Like you said before, before this past season. It hadn't been very good there for the past few years, right? So I think our players want to earn that. I think they're going to, and I think we really look forward to the challenge, and we look forward to having the whole community out.
Coach Cooley, you're going to come back with us during football season. We're working on something with Coach Rivers. Look forward to having you back, and thank you for taking the time on a Friday night to do this.
Absolutely, man. Anytime, you just holler at me.
Coach Shawn Cooley of the Hixson Wildcats. Anything you want to shout out, Coach Cooley, before we end it?
Not really. Just go Wildcats.
Go Wildcats. I'm definitely with you. Like I've said in the interview, and we talked on text. Y'all inherit me because you got Anna Lee Cunningham coming to the band, so y'all get me too the next 4 years.
We're going to take it.
All right, Coach Cooley. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Coach Cooley, we appreciate it. Go. If you live in the Hixson community, go. Support this program. Let's give them the love that they deserve.
Absolutely.
Good night, and God bless everybody.